to North of 60. I'm Heidi Schweighofer. My guest today is Diane Blum, the Operations Director for Caring Transitions. Diane is a repeat guest because she was here with me 2 years ago and we talked at that point about downsizing and changing our residence, especially as we're older, and what kinds of things we can do with our stuff. Today, though, I asked her to be here so that we had a more specific focus on where precisely can we put our things if we're downsizing, maybe just cleaning out our own homes, or taking care of a home of an elderly parent. And I know that I talk about my dad, but I have to tell you that last year at this time, my sister and I were cleaning his house after his death at age 99, and I was at a loss about where to put things like paints and newspapers, magazines, National Geographic, 40 years worth of those, and expired food. So I know we didn't dispose of things the way we should, and I thought it would be wonderful to have someone here in the Hudson area actually begin to help us with this process. Caring Transitions is in Northeast Ohio. So that's the intro, and thank you, Diane, for being here again.
Happy to be here, Heidi.
I'm so tickled.
Thank you.
You gave me a lot of ideas when you were here last, and I thought that you did it in a very compassionate way, and I appreciated that. But today I want you to keep the compassion, but I want you to really help us talk about disposal of things, because I'm so uncomfortable with where my sister and I put things like paint, and I know we didn't dispose of things correctly. So if I go down a list, would you talk about each one and give me a couple of alternatives?
Yes.
All right.
We can definitely do that.
Let's start with old paints and chemicals. We are guilty of it in my own house. We have paint cans from years ago that we think we're going to use again, and we haven't for 30 years.
Right.
Chemicals, varnish, stuff you spray on your walls, all of that stuff. Tell me where we can put things like that.
Okay. Well, first of all, this area has quite a comprehensive trash and recycle services. Normal recycling from your house, perhaps you're just doing a declutter job, you could put to the curb, as like you said, plastics, canisters, etc. But when you get into the hazardous items like you're mentioning, there is the hazardous recycling services. It's for Summit County residents. It's on Graham Road in Stowe. It's open in the summer, so we're kind of lucky there. So from June to the end of summer, I believe it's on Thursday afternoon, you can drop off most of your hazardous items. So most of these items that you're going to suggest to me, I'm going to say it's going to be at the recycling services on Graham Road. And it's called, if you want to look it up, it's under, I believe it's summitreworks.com.
I've heard of it.
Yes.
I've heard of it. So I would put everything in the car, no matter how old or new it is, and take it there, and they dispose of it the safe way.
They will. Not every item, though. They don't take everything. For example, you were mentioning paint, which we all have. They do not take latex paint. Latex paint, what they really recommend, what the city recommends, is you open up the paint, you dry it out, and then you trash it curbside. But you have to have the lid off to prove that it's dried, and then you could just put it in your curbside trash for latex.
I had no idea about this. Wonder why that is.
Actually, a lot of people don't, because we all have the paint in our houses.
And we don't even look at
it. We don't look twice about it. But as long as you dry it out, just put it to the curb. And there are many ways to dry it out. You can just open a can, let it sit there.
Let it sit in the basement.
You can put kitty litter in it. That dries it out real quickly. And there are other methods to dry out paint, and you can put it to the curb.
Diane, I have learned something in the first 5 seconds. Thank you. I am thrilled to hear this. I'm going to go home and tell my husband I know what we can do with the blue paint we haven't had on the walls in 20 years.
And it does dry out quickly. You'd be surprised at how paint can dry out. But the oil-based paints and any paint products you can take to the hazardous site.
So varnish, for example.
Yes,
would
household
be-
products,
okay.
chemicals, any chemicals, car products, oils, gasolines, items like that can all be taken there. And they do have some restrictions, like businesses cannot. It's for families,
consumer.
The consumer.
Okay.
That you can drop off or how much you can drop off.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
It's wonderful, yes.
All right, now we're going to talk about silver on the opposite. So many people my age in Hudson have inherited mom and dad's silver set,
Right.
silver coffee service, all sorts of beautiful things, and our children don't want it. And what do we do with something like a valuable silver set?
Okay, with silver, first of all, define what kind of silver you do have. Is
So
it
sterling.
silver plate?
Oh,
That's very different. And there's many levels of silver plate and triplicate. There's many different levels, but anything that's a silver plate really does not have value to it. I would either use it or donate it or give it to friends and family. Now your sterling is a different story. Sterling still is of value. So if you have a sterling flatware set or a sterling tea
Right.
set, you can sell that. A lot of times, though, I must warn you that a lot of people buying it will buy it for the meltdown value of the silver. And you can even sell it to jewelry stores, which they will do the same, and they will give you the value of the silver for the sterling. Most people don't use sterling anymore, silver in their items.
No.
Yeah.
So they can get some money out of it,
Definitely.
but giving it to a jewelry store, knowing though it will not be passed on. Is
Yes,
silver,
but
it will be-
sometimes you can even sell it. You could go on Marketplace and Facebook Marketplace and sell your silver. Some people do like to have a nice sterling set, so you can sell it there. It does, and it depends on what type of silver sterling it is. It depends on the value that it has. But yes, you can sell it on Facebook to see what you can get for it. Or, but I would recommend, if you do not like your sterling, candlesticks, flatware, anything like that, tea sets, to sell it or give it away. Or
All right.
use it if you like. Use it.
or use it. You know, you just don't think of using it anymore. I mean, who has formal dinner parties
Who
where
does?
they're setting
Not
the
many
table
people.
like that? Guns. My dad had some guns from World War II. They were in terrible condition, but we didn't know what to do with them at all. And we didn't even notice. We couldn't figure out how to find out even if they were loaded. So
Exactly.
So what do we do with guns?
Yes, as when you find guns in your home or your parents' home, be very careful with them. You do not know if they're loaded. You do not know what condition they are in. I would, for anything like for guns as general, you can just drop them off at the police department or have the police take them. That may be easy enough. Especially if they're broken, they will take care of them for you. And there's also, sometimes they have gun buyback programs if that's going on or not. But also the alcohol, tobacco, and firearm services, they will come and take your guns. But if you like your gun, it's a good gun, and you want to sell it to a gunsmith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if we have no interest, call the police and let them ask them
It's
for
the
their
easiest,
help.
safest way. And they
Okay.
can either take care of it for you or direct you to a place where you can get rid of your guns.
Okay. It's amazing what's hidden in homes. I
Yes,
will tell
and
you.
I found those. I found guns in the most unique places
Where people
where
had
people
hidden them?
hid them. Yes, outside, and that's what makes it a little bit dangerous, because if you're cleaning out your parents' home or a friend's home and you move something, the gun may fall down. And it depends on what condition. It could be antique. There's many antique guns which also can be quite valuable. And so that you have to be very careful. You may not know they have guns, but a lot of times I'm quite surprised. And the places I find them are very...
Like where? Where do you find them?
Behind cabinets, if you move cabinets, under beds in guest rooms, in attics. It's the most unusual places. Yeah.
Not locked up like that.
Not in a gun cabinet locked up.
Well, we found my dad's in the drawer next to his bed.
See, well, yes, that's a common place as well.
All right. I know we talked about this in the past, but I know it keeps cropping up. And I'll tell you, I've had conversations since your appearance about China.
China.
Because we have this china from Mom and Grandma, and we don't want it anymore, and our kids don't want it anymore. And I always see china at antique stores by the gallon, so people are obviously trying to get rid of it,
Yes.
and no one's buying it. So what are our options with china?
Okay, generally speaking, china, if you don't use it, I would just donate it. There's really no value you can get for it. A lot of thrift stores aren't even buying it anymore because they have so much.
Like even Goodwill then?
No, Goodwill will take it. Goodwill will take it. And I also suggest people that when they're downsizing and moving, take 4 place settings of it. Let the others go, take 4, use it every day as your everyday china. Put it in a dishwasher. What difference does it make? Nobody really wants it. And actually dishwashers today are gentle enough. You can wash your dishes, which I do.
That's an idea. Just keep 4 place settings so you can entertain a small group or your son and daughter, and then okay.
Especially if you have a place setting for 12 or 8, you still have enough to give somebody so that the thrift store will take it, and then you're using it. It's your china. You love it. Use it every day. Throw it in a dishwasher. Don't worry about it.
Isn't it hard though, Diane, to we talked about this in the past, and I don't want to get on the subject necessarily, but to have these memories, that's the problem. Everything has a memory. Grandma's china has a memory, and her tureen that she used to serve whatever on for Thanksgiving. You remember all of those things, and it makes it you feel guilt.
Yes.
Getting rid of things.
Yes. That's one of the most difficult things when people are downsizing or decluttering is the guilt they get from the items. But think about it. If you have the items stored away that you never see them, what difference does it make having them or not? You're not seeing them. You're not looking at them.
That's very true. They're in a cupboard.
Exactly. And you don't use them. Maybe once a year you bring them out. Oh, then the memories come. So take a picture of it. Take one piece of it and display it in your kitchen. Get a teacup and just display something use it as decor and let the rest of it go. Take a picture of it. This way it doesn't take up space, and you're honoring the memory and letting it go. Somebody else could definitely use dishes.
All right. Complete change of product. Medicines.
Oh, yes.
So we also had little bins of expired medicines, not only prescription medicines for whatever, but things like pain medication that one would not want floating around, Percocet and all of those things.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So what do people do with medicines?
With medicines, do not flush them or throw them in trash. You don't want them to seep into the water supply. It can be dangerous, or someone get hold of them, especially if they were narcotics like you were suggesting there. And what you do is medicines I put in a black baggie and I drop them off at the police station because they have a way of getting rid of them.
Okay. Yeah. Have you seen those packets?
Yes, I've actually used those as well.
How did you like those? I haven't used them. I've seen them.
I actually like them a lot. You open them up, you put the medicine in, and you follow the instructions. They work wonderful.
And they dissolve it or make it. You can then throw
make
them
it
away.
that you can throw it away.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That is, and I think where can you get those?
I think you can get them at the police. Maybe I'm saying something I shouldn't, but I sort of remember getting the ones I saw were at either EMS here in Hudson or the police station. I can't remember.
Yes, I think I got mine from the EMS. I'm not sure, but that's how I discovered what they were. By accident, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is fabulous. It's great, especially if you have medicine that you're not using anymore that expired and you have grandkids coming, just toss it in there and be done with it.
Yeah, instead of putting it in a baggie and thinking I'm going to go to the police station next week and have some
and then you don't.
awful thing
it's
happen.
Because it's yeah.
All right, let's talk about food. So expired canned food, not expired well, that's easy to get rid of, I think, canned food that's not expired. One can donate that to a food pantry, for example. But let's look at the expired food. Some of the ones we saw were from 2001, 1900s. And bottles and jars and all of the things that contain food stuff that we would not refrigerate, that we would put on in our pantry?
Well, first of all, if it's not expired, like you said, please donate to a food bank. The Akron Canton Food Bank, I believe, is the closest food bank. There's also a community service on Ravenna Road that would accept non-expired foods. But if they're expired, they're trashed. There's no special place for them.
Recycle? Do I put them in the recycle or in the trash?
You can do steps where you can open up jars to recycle the jars or the cans. If you do that steps, that's a lot of extra work. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's extra work.
We
that
did
can go
the
down
right
to
thing.
disposal. Yes, there's really
trash bags.
for expired food. It's not poisonous to the earth, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I'm not opening up some of those.
Yeah, some of them can be quite old that we find.
Like, whoa.
We're always amazed.
I can well imagine. When they're bursting out of the can, you know that there's something you don't want to see
and you don't want to
inside
touch
there.
the can.
No, I know it. All right. The National Geographics of the world, and I don't mean just a couple of magazines, I mean years and years of collecting any type of magazine that people are convinced somebody's going to want, including the library, which they don't, by the way. But what do we do with all of these magazines?
Well, first of all, there's two things you really can do. If you have a collection of something like National Geographic, you may even try to sell with on eBay or a Facebook group. There's somebody that may want one or two of those to complete their collection. Now, you are not going to make a fortune on it. You probably sell a complete collection for $10, but it gets it out of the way. They pay for shipping. It's gone.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Or they pick up and they'll complete their collection. So, and people still collect it and read it. So that's one option. Another one would be you can recycle it, and sometimes it depends how much you have. It sounded like you had a lot. They will pay you by the ton. You could donate, you could recycle the paper, and
no kidding.
Yes.
So do I call my recycler guy?
I would call and find out where to sell your magazines, your paper, because if you have stacks of paper, you can get, it's nominal, but you do get something. So
would that include newspapers too?
Newspapers as well, but newspapers can easily be recycled in your trash, curbside trash. They're very biodegradable, the newspapers.
But, think of the quantities. I mean, we're talking years.
Well, it depends on quantities. Absolutely, absolutely, and you do get. There's metal salvage, there's paper if you have tons of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Books. So again, my father was a great reader. He had, I'm not exaggerating, thousands of books in his house, and I did not want thousands of books. Well, neither of us did.
Right.
And we called. Library friend groups. They didn't all want thousands of books.
No.
We tried calling, my sister called some jails and prisons to see if they would like the books.
Idea.
Well, they're very selective in what they want and when you can bring it in and what the subject matter is, so we couldn't, that was going to take forever. Yeah. So what can we do with books?
Well, books are very interesting. There's also a lot of things you can do with books as well. Sometimes it depends, like you said, what is the genre? What's the collections? Do you have full collections? Do you have historical books? You have old medical books? It depends. You can actually sell those. You sell books. People do buy books. And shipping,
like on Roundtable, for example.
Oh,
Facebook
absolutely. Or even like eBay. If you love eBay, sell your books. But your collections, you have, like I mentioned, old medical book collection, old ones, not newer ones. They're really an interesting collection. Historical collection, historical books. We sold recently a collection of books written in German. And that had a very high interest. So it all depends on what your collections are. You can sell it on Facebook groups, on eBay. You can even, sometimes with those, you can reach out to the libraries, to the universities and say, I buy books in German. and universities who teach that may be interested. So you have that as your option with books. Newer books, bestsellers, recent bestsellers, if you have hundreds of those, if they're recent, they do sell. And the best thing about selling books is the postage and shipping is not as bad because they have media rates. The post office has media rates, so you can put them in a box and ship them for the postal service media rate to whoever decides to buy the books.
Does it matter what condition they are in if they have writing on them, you know?
Yes, you would have to actually establish the condition. If one or two have writing but the rest of them are in good condition, that's, you know, just let people know that when you're trying to sell them or donate them. They need to know the condition. If they're broken spines, maybe not sell. It's very difficult to, for people, they maybe don't want books broken
Right.
spine. Some
Right.
books are dirty or have bugs. Be careful of that as well. You don't really want to ship those.
No, I wouldn't want to receive them either.
No.
I was going to ask you a book question. Oh, and it will come back to me. That is, you know, that was a really difficult decision to make again because of the sheer volume. And I wish now I had known. My dad had law books going back to 1920.
Oh, wow.
We didn't
Those
have
are interesting.
the slightest
Yes, that's a nice
idea.
collection.
So do you think that places like eBay and
The Facebook Marketplace, yes.
you think those are good places to try if you are selling your own
Absolutely.
stuff?
Like even for like Facebook Marketplace, you can reach out to the groups. For example, you have clock collection, clocks, or books. You have book collection. You can reach out to specific groups, or you can try the local Hudson Buy and Sell and Swap groups, and for average. But anything that has a collection that's a little bit above everyday average items, I'd reach out to specific groups or do it on eBay just to sell it. And also, sometimes libraries have a donate to them, but not thousands, so they can have their. They make money from having their book sale days, and that's how they get their books. People donate books to them.
did donate. I donated bins to libraries here in this area, but you know, they don't want 15 bins of.
No.
So okay.
Because they got to sell.
Clothing. We have. I want to ask you about men's clothing and women's clothing, because women's clothing to me is an easy get rid of. I know some consignment stores. I know Goodwill. I know how to get rid of stuff I don't want in my own wardrobe. I did not know how to get rid of men's clothing, and I mean like lots of older men's clothing.
Well, actually, clothing's pretty much the same. You could donate to Goodwill, donate to thrift stores, donate to certain groups that help people. They may need a suit to get their first job, so help young people starting out, and it's good clothing that they can have. Same with women's clothing. You can donate men and women's clothing. There's a place, I believe it's in Wadsworth, it's called Marion's Closet, and they accept donations of clothing, and I believe they give it to free. They vet the people, but they're given free because they need these services. And they could be members, and they come in, and if they need clothes, they come in and look at the group and the store and see what's there.
What a nice idea.
Yeah, then there's several of those places around, and especially for the men's clothing as well, to, like I mentioned, to get the men back on their feet, the young men back on their feet, because they need jackets and pants and shirts in good condition.
I love Goodwill. I love what they do.
Yeah.
I just think that there are other places out there that want some of this, and I think we tend to box it up and send it to Goodwill or take it to Goodwill. When
we do, because it's easy.
I would rather, be more thoughtful, I guess, on where some of this stuff is going.
Also, check with your places of worship. They may have specific organizations that they help, and some of them can be helping people get on their feet, and they collect clothes for that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Not even just your own church, but you
exactly, yeah.
All right,
check
good
around,
idea.
see.
Good idea. Now we have very limited time, I'm afraid. I want to ask you about paper. So paper, and I don't mean magazines and books. This is just reams of letters, and I mean I can't tell you how much just stuff kept over years and years and years.
Okay.
Some of it, though, has a confidential nature to it. So what do we do with that?
Well, I would actually must look through it to pull out the confidential, anything with personal information. If it's just your name and address, I'd let it go. But if it contains like your name, address, and account number, or
Social
Security, which I don't, older papers do still put Social Security
not
on.
the new ones, I
Not
know,
newer
thank
ones.
God.
And even newer ones, they don't contain a lot of personal information, so you can just trash it if you look at the statements. But a lot of our parents and grandparents have older papers that are older that they put everything on. Your social, your addresses, everything. You probably should shred those.
Okay.
Now, for shredding purposes, I believe any UPS store and Staples store you can take your papers for a nominal fee and they'll shred it.
Good.
Yeah, and it's convenient. You just pick up the bunch and you drop it off. I think it's 89 cents a pound. I'm not really sure on that, but for nominal fee, the local stores will shred your work. I know the community through the Reworks, the Summit recycling services, they do offer events throughout the year for free paper shredding.
All right.
But you have to. They
You
only
have
allow
to
you to
sort.
take so much.
Yeah, and
so we don't take papers that don't need to be recycled.
no, that's a lot of stuff in the world here, Diane.
It is. It's a lot to consider. Like, when you went through your dad's house and you saw all that, it's very overwhelming.
It's overwhelming
Yes.
as heck, and it's even overwhelming. It is. It's
Yes.
overwhelming.
It's
overwhelming. You
overwhelming.
don't believe there is this, that people can, but it's a lifetime. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too in my own house.
Yes.
I'd have to call you and come on and help me. We're going to move down, and I need to get rid of the 4-bedroom that I've been in now for 30 years.
Yeah, it's something everyone goes through, and just remember there are resources out there that will gladly help you or guide you in a direction.
Even in the sorting, you can come and we can work together.
Oh yes,
Good.
there's resources out there on how to get rid of your things, and whether you choose to sell them yourself, hire a professional to sell them, trash things, or sort and organize yourself. Ask your friends and family; they're great resources to help.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
You
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. I'm amazed at some of these things, and I'm so happy to know about them. Thank you for watching North of 60. You'll have Diane's contact information written at the very end of the show, or you can always send me an email, and I can give you information about how to reach her. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heidi.